Hey my friends, welcome back to a new video. Today we'll be talking about science, that the life is pushing you to level up. The life is pushing you to move through whatever challenges may be in front of you right now, as you're meant to level up at this point of evolution. And this is such an important topic, and we'll go through all the steps, what is happening. It's a repetitive patterns that happen to all of us as we are moving through this process of awakening, of shifting our energy, and becoming more familiar with that inner voice that starts guiding us stronger than anything external, anything mental, anything psychological. We come across the inner technology, something we've been talking yesterday about, the higher self, the inner self, the higher wisdom that is constantly guiding you if you're aware of it. So here I've actually drawn a pattern that is, maybe it's hard to see it for you, but we're walking on this narrow path, right? We are walking forward and then we meet a block. Like for a certain period of time, everything works quite well. We say, oh, I'm quite happy with my relationships. I'm quite happy with my finances. Everything is quite well until things start falling apart. And when things start falling apart, we call it a roadblock. We call it like something weird started happening. Like, I don't know what's going on. And this roadblock then is your opportunity to level up or to fall down and get into another cycle of lessons, so you get back onto this path until you meet a new challenge that is kind of inviting you to level up or to go again into a same cycle. We're moving in life through cycles and rhythms, and if we're not aware of why those challenges and roadblocks are so important, how much wisdom is actually in them. If we recognize the wisdom, if we recognize what they are teaching us, we are able to level up. So the first sign that you are about to level up, if you do the work, that the life is teaching you right now to level up, is that you recognize in your life started happening that things started worsening and worsening and worsening. It gets worse before it gets better. It's a common saying, but it's usually due to a need for our awakening to a bigger picture. So usually it gets worse before it gets better, because if we become too comfortable at a certain path we're walking on, if we stop expanding ourselves, if we stop stretching ourselves, we get really comfortable, everything becomes familiar, everything becomes easy. And life was never meant to be easy. Life was meant to be an adventure. It was meant to be a bit challenging. It was meant to be exciting. It was meant to be it was meant to bring you opportunities to constantly keep expanding yourself and keep inner searching your potential and abilities and capabilities. That's something Aristotle was talking about when he was studying the soul, the purpose of the soul. Soul has abilities and capabilities, and our job is to find them, to search for them, and to express them in as many different possible ways as possible. If that's the correct saying, right? So usually it gets worse before it gets better. And we notice, well, when things started falling apart, we come across a point of awakening. Okay, let's change something. Let's upgrade certain patterns. Let's see what knowledge needs to be updated, upgraded. Let's see what behaviors and emotions and beliefs are not serving me at this point anymore. So this is usually a phase of deep introspection. We should meditate in this phase a lot and reflect on what is kind of not in alignment with our vision, with our inner knowing anymore, so we can start adapting or creating new changes that can help us to level up. And if you keep connecting with yourself at this point, you will be guided towards what you need to know. So usually it gets worse before it gets better. So when it starts getting worse, know that you're about to level up if you in tune with yourself and see what is required for you to update about yourself, because you should never stay the same, because life is all about changes. The second sign that you are about to level up is that you become aware of your toxic patterns. What are toxic patterns? Those are, the things we're doing that are not healthy for us. And we do things most of the time unconsciously. Science is saying most of the things, like 95% of the things we do unconsciously. But as we begin to recognize, okay, what I'm actually doing here is not good for me. This food that I'm eating completely, like every single day I go to this place and I order that food because it's natural, it's common for me. Suddenly you've started recognizing, well, it doesn't feel right anymore. You're used to drinking that sugary whatever thing, and at some point you've started recognizing, well, it doesn't feel right anymore. I just don't want to do it anymore. Or you've noticed, well, you had a certain habit that was completely natural. You've been doing it for such a long time, but suddenly you've started noticing, well, I don't want to do that anymore. It's a sign that you're about to level up, that you're about to get to the next level if you quit that habit and initiate a new one, a healthier one, the one that will bring you to that future version of yourself that is already at the point of that potential future where you're visualizing yourself to be. You know that you can't get there by staying the same as you are today, right? But you know that you need to awaken to a higher degree of understanding that I can't get there by doing same things as I've done before, right? And that's where you start noticing your toxic patterns. And you notice, well, I'm ready to level up, I'm ready to change, I'm ready to do whatever is necessary at this point to let go of this and to start something new. And that's where the third sign comes in, because the third sign that you're about to level up is that you get an invitation to a new knowledge. Because information opens new doors, right? And when we start studying something new, something completely new opens up to us. And you've noticed that in the past when you've started, let's say you've noticed that something on the world is quite out of alignment. You've noticed how there are so many people suffering, and then there are, small groups that are so abundant that they almost don't know what to do with all that richness. How is it possible? At some point you've started questioning that. If you've put yourself into that spiritual journey of awakening, at some point you've started questioning that. And all questions bring you to new answers. So you've started seeing new books and new informations and new videos and whatever new found you. That's where you've opened up yourself to new information. It's a sign that you're leveling up. But you need to study the information. Here, often, to many people, happens a big problem. They study all kinds of information, but they don't digest it. They just read new books over new books, and podcasts over new podcasts, and they fill up their minds until their minds blow up and nothing changes in their lives. You see, new information come to you. So you would study it, question it, dig deeper into it, and then do something about it. Everything in your life finds you for a reason. And once you know that, you start wondering, okay, what is the reason behind this book that found me? Like I've shared with you some months ago, me and Maya have been traveling in Spain. We've been in Barcelona. We went into a bookstore and a book of Aristotle found me. Like it called me and I've started reading it. And before that I was studying a lot of ancient alchemy. And it's a science of life. It's a a science of transformation. And then I've started reading the book of Aristotle, and I've noticed how interesting is that. Like in nowadays, sometimes it feels like everybody's complicating what back at that time they've completely understood it in a simple way, and they've been practicing it, and they've been finding a ways of moderation, so we don't become too much easygoing and we don't become too extreme at whatever. And they've been studying how to work with the laws of nature and how to embody certain principles that are in alignment with nature, with universe's laws. And when I've started studying that, I've noticed, well, that's exactly what I needed to know. And after that, so many other philosophers came to me, like books came to me, the right information finds you, because it is about to open up new doors on your journey, but you need to study it, you need to question it, you need to get deep into it, and then you need to put it into practice, which put us to the fourth sign, how to know that you're leveling up, how to know that your life is preparing you to level up. Your life is preparing you by giving you opportunities to test and implement that new knowledge. So what will happen? At this point, certain, let's say, maybe synchronistic events may happen. People may invite you to certain groups, to certain events maybe, or you may be invited to make an interview with somebody, or you may be invited to a new job where you can test your new knowledge, or whatever knowledge is finding you. For me, knowledge is always a beginning of remembering of something new. Knowledge usually sparks certain memory that was rooted deep within your soul, and you knew it but you couldn't articulate it. And knowledge often sparks that memory once again, where you feel like, I already knew that, but I had no idea how to articulate it, how to put it into words. And all those books that are finding us are usually just awakening this memory. So it's like a saying that you're not learning new stuff, you're just remembering what you already knew. And then the only purpose of remembering is so you embody it in this lifetime. So you embody those memories, because there would be no need for you to know everything if you're not implementing it and sharing it with others, right? So the fourth sign that you're about to level up is that opportunities started finding you for you to implement new knowledge, whatever that new knowledge is. Opportunities started finding you for you to implement it, to practice it, to put it into work, to build new skills. Like when I've started painting, an opportunity found me to have my first exhibition. And as I had that first exhibition, back at that time I was reading lots of books about business, about how to make income, how to believe into a product that you've created. And for me, my product were paintings. And opportunity came for me to believe into the prices that I've set for my paintings. And I said, well, if painting said to me it's worth this amount of thousands of euros or whatever, then opportunity here in this exhibition is for me to confidently express this price when somebody asks me. And that's where we put our knowledge into practice, so we can ground it, so we can become confident in it, and eventually we become better at it. That's where we embody it, and through embodiment we gain new experiences, and new experiences are what philosophers called wisdom. There's a quote that says, all wisdom starts with wandering. And we are quite wandering when we are embodying new knowledge until it grounds within our system and we become confident in it. So the fourth sign is that opportunities come to you where you can practice that new knowledge, and that's a sign that you're leveling up and new things will start flowing into your life. You will start meeting new manifestations and so many interesting things, if that's the correct word here, will start happening in your favor. And then the fourth sign often it often happens at this point when we start implementing changes and we start changing our behaviors and our energy starts changing. We start feeling differently. Usually if we're doing the positive work, we start to feel more positive. We get ourselves onto, I call it a solo phase, a solo path. It's just it happens for a limited time. This is the path of huge transformation that happens while we are leveling up. And this solo phase is the phase where we are usually, it feels like we are alone on this journey, as we are kind of saying goodbye to the old life and we are entering into a new life. But in between the new life and the old life, we are in this solo phase where we are still implementing new knowledge and building new skills and gaining wisdom, gaining experiences, and kind of finding ourselves out, like what will be our thing. Even when I had that exhibition and I was making a lot of art back then and I was confident in it, I still had no exact idea what is my thing. Like, I knew I'm an artist, but I also want to be a teacher. I also want to share knowledge. I want to share what I've learned on this process and all these philosophies that are put into my paintings, that were put and are put into my paintings. I want to talk about this. I want to share this. I want to inspire people all around the world, but I had no idea how to do that. And during this solo journey, I kind of figured it out. And after that, when I became really good at it, I've started meeting people who are already doing that. So I've started meeting people that are kind of same-minded, that are working on a similar mission. So we are for a limited time in this solo phase where we're kind of embodying and grounding everything we've learned, and we're still kind of searching what is our thing. And once we find it and start practicing it and becoming better at it, we start meeting people who are on that similar level. And it happens to I'm sure that all of us. And then the sixth sign that you're leveling up is that your real breakthroughs start happening. We start meeting manifestations that we wanted to experience for such a long time. Just that it's not a product of our wants, it's a product of our shift in energy. You wanted it back at that time, right? But actually for it to manifest in your life, you needed to make some huge shifts. You needed to go through all of this. You needed to meet a certain breaking point, such a strong challenge that it invited you to make certain change, right? And if you've done that work, breakthroughs started happening. You've started manifesting results. You've started meeting new people. You've got yourself into new relationships. You've started manifesting more money. Whatever happened, you've started making an impact on the world. And that's how this process of leveling up happens. But every time, especially here, when we get to that phase of breaking through, we get to the phase of great excitement, of great joy. And this is a beautiful phase, because suddenly we notice all that hard work that we've done until here started manifesting. And we start celebrating ourselves because it feels really, really good. Here again, at some point, when we start to feel quite confident, but at the same time comfortable on that journey. And if we get too comfortable again, another breaking point will happen where we'll go through another process, and we're kind of constantly going through those phases. In alchemy, there were 3 phases. There was the black phase, the red phase, and the white phase. Actually, the white phase and the red phase. And the black phase is that dark night of the soul, where you go through the dark night of the soul, you recognize all the challenges that are, everything is kind of falling apart. And this is the phase of deep introspection and shadow work and learning, what can I learn in this phase? What I should let go of? We recognize all those traumas that may be controlling us and triggering us and so on. But it's also a phase of purification. And then the white phase is the phase of complete purification. to the knowledge of that time at this phase. And as we are purifying, our energy is getting clearer and more aligned. And as we get more aligned, we start to sense more what feels right and what doesn't feel right. And then the red phase is the phase of crystallization of that new energy. We embody the new findings, the new realizations, and we practice them and we build greater skills out of them. Like if we recognize we've been really talented at certain art, now we build greater skills. We build greater skills how to introduce our art to the world, how to help people with our art, whatever is your thing. So we all go through these 3 phases, and usually they look like this. So it's not like it happens once in a lifetime, it happens so often in a lifetime. We go so often through it, but the first time is usually the most challenging because it's all new, unfamiliar, especially this solar phase where we are like recognizing, am I truly alone here? But actually you have to be alone. So you find your values, you find your principles to which you want to live by, and you embody all of that, and eventually you get to where you want it to be. So my friends, I hope you found something valuable today in this really insightful video. And I'm sending you lots of love, blessings, and power. I want to remind you we're running fresh sales on our Etsy shop, AttractPassion. The link is also in the description where you can find all of my art, prints of my art, stickers, some of the original paintings. Go there and check it out. My friends, till next time, one love.